Hello, this is Jeff Byers. This is Annie 235, and this is Module 6. And we are going to model an eye for our character. So, to model an eye, we kind of need to know more about the eye itself and the anatomy. So, let's take a look at this image here. Now, I don't expect you guys to memorize any of this except for maybe the pupil, the cornea, and the iris. Okay? And we're not going to worry too much about the rest of the anatomy, but I think these are the parts that really need to watch. So we're going to model the cornea, and it bulges out, and then we're going to model out the iris, okay, and then the pupil. So those are the three pieces that we're going to go ahead and model. So we're going to take two spheres, and one's going to be smaller than the other, and that's what we're going to end up doing. So I already know I've modeled the eye quite a few times already, so what we're going to do is just go ahead and start. Alright, so all I did was create a sphere. Okay, so just go up in here and just create a sphere and position it into the eye and scale it down to fit in the eye. And you can look at what I have. It looks a lot bigger than you would think to the size of the head, so that's what it takes to fit in here in this area. I have no idea what scale you have in your scene, but you can see the numbers that I have here. And you can pause the video and you can try those out, but I don't think they're going to work for you. They may be different. So anyway, and then you want to create the eye, and then you want to go in here under Polish Sphere 1 and change the subdivisions axes to 16 and subdivisions height to 24. So I'll go ahead and pause the video to do that real quick. Okay. So once you get that position, of course, you can pause the video anytime you want, rewind it, and watch it over and over again. But we got to get moving on. So what we're going to do is the eye really isn't working the way it should, meaning that we can't have this coming to a point. Okay, and whenever you try to smooth it out, it looks like it is okay, but if we move that a little bit, it'll start pinching and looking really bizarre. So we're going to have to fix that. So to fix that, we're going to go to Control 1. So Control 1 to isolate it. And what we're going to do is we're going to hit the Q key. Okay, so we're going to right click over this and go to Edge, and we're going to select every other edge here. And we're going to do delete. Just hit the delete key. There we go. Right, so when you hit the 3 key, it's all a quadrangle. Okay, so we want to do that to the other side here. It's not as important to the back as it is the front, but let's go ahead and just make it the same. Alright, so just hit delete. There we go. Make sure you don't delete anything in the front by accident, any edge loops, so make sure you look for edges here. Make sure you didn't cause any issues. Alright, so we're in the front, and to know that you're in the front, you have to look at your axes, right? And you can do Control 1 again. And now you can see that it's looking really good. Alright, so now we're going to do this. We're going to go in here, and we're going to add that bulge to it. Before we do that, though, let's go Control 1 again. And now we got the size. Now what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate it and scale it that down. So I'm going to go ahead and Control D, and then scale it down in the center. Okay? Something like that. And we should call this, give this a name of iris, right? Iris. That's going to be the inside one. And the outside one is called the cornea. There we go. We're going to work on the outside one right now. And so on this one, just hit the Q key, and we're going to select the center. Okay. We can also just click on the outer edge if we wanted to. Just double click on that. Now it's not going to go all the way around because we messed that up. That edge loop is no longer going to work. You can't just double click on it because we've got it broken up here. But what we're going to do with this is we're going to turn this into a vertex selection. So we're not going to worry about the back, just the front. Okay, so we're going to go to select, and we're going to go to convert selection to vertices. Okay, now what I have to do is just kind of hold the shift key down and click on the middle one. And what we're going to do is we're going to double click on the move tool, and then we're going to open up soft selection and click on soft selection. Okay, now I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to hold down the B key and just scale that down. I have no idea how big your brush is going to be, so you might have to zoom out quite a bit. And so I'm holding down the B key, and that has influence on that object. So you can see that now I can move it, but the fall off is wrong here. So we can look at some of the. We can look at surface, global, or object. We're going to go to volume. Keep that a volume. Here's the fall off curve. So I can go in here and move that or change that. Bring it a little bit closer like that. That's kind of what I want to do. Okay, and bring this one back. There we go. So that makes a huge difference. You know, you can do a lot of cool stuff. Bring that out a little bit. Let's take a look at that. That's too much. There we go. We just need a little bit of a bulge there, not much. Okay, bring that back a little bit like that. Just bulge that out a little bit more. Okay, let's take a look at that. That looks pretty good. Let's hit the 3 key and see if that looks any better. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Just a little bit of a bulge there. Let's go ahead and to control 1 and see if that looks about right. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And I can even take the center vertex. Let's hit the B key again and just move that out just a smidge, not much. And let's see if that caused any problems. Moving that out, and that looks pretty good. I think that's okay. Alright. Looks good. Perfect. Alright, so we've got the cornea and we've got the iris now. We've got to work on the iris now. So what we're going to do with that, we're going to go in here and to the side view probably, and click on the one that's smaller. There we go. And we are going to focus on that one now. So we got the cornea done. So let's do control 1, and this is the iris. So okay, now we're going to do the iris. So this eye is the eye opening is fairly large. So let's go ahead and do the outside and then the inside, and then we'll select these pieces in here. There we go. Make sure you don't select anything on the other side. Just double checking. And what we're going to do is we're going to do an extrude. So Control E, extrude that in, hit the R key, and just extrude it in a little bit like that. And then we're going to go ahead and push it in a little bit. I don't think we're going to need to push it in too much. There we go, like that. And let's go ahead and double click on this guy right here and hit the Q key and move these. And then we're going to move this in a little bit like this. to flatten that out. That looks pretty good. Flatten that out. And then we're going to do the next one. It's this one. And let's take this. And we are going to extrude. We want to actually move that in. We got some stuff pushed out over here. We got some stuff selected over here, so hold down the control key and get rid of that if you need to. And from the side view, we're going to move this back. So just move that back, flatten that out again. And then this one, we're going to go ahead and control E, R, hit the R key, and just kind of scale that in just a little bit. Control E and then W and move that in a little bit like that. Okay, a little bit more like that. Control E and W, move that back. Okay. Control E and W, move it back a little bit. Like that, and then scale it in. Like that. And then move it back a little bit towards us. We want that to definitely look like it's kind of soft back there. That's really important, like that. There we go. So now we click off, and this is what we have. Oh, that looks nice. I like that. So the iris is very, very tight in here, but then it's very soft. Whenever the light hits in there, it's not going to be a really sharp edge, and that's important. So this is going to look very nice, three-dimensional. Let's go ahead and hit the Control 1 key again. And let's go ahead and put the cornea in a layer. That's important. So, new layer, call this cornea or left cornea. Here we go. Alright, and get that in there. So, yeah, that's about right. I think that'll look nice. Okay. Looks good. The eye's still pushed back there quite a ways, so what we're going to do is get the cornea back in and select both of them if we can, and just kind of move that around, get this settled. Make sure both are selected. That's really important. There we go. Make sure we're in object mode. Alright, so see where we're at the top and the bottom, and just kind of pull it out as far as we can before it comes out of the eye socket. Move it around this way a little bit, and just get as close as you can before it starts popping out. There we go. Okay, now we're going to look straight ahead and hit the 5 key, and now we need to rotate this to a natural position. There we go. That looks better. I like that. Great. That's better. Much nicer. Okay, so that's a nice natural position for that eye. Okay. Alright, we can always make changes to that if we need to. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Let's go to the side view. Okay, you can see that. We might want to go ahead and, before we do that rotational value, we can probably get this, go back, there we go. I'll probably get this just kind of duplicated over. So I'm going to do Control D and just duplicate that whole eye over like that. Okay, and that one's selected. I think they're both selected here. And I have to double check that. I'm going to go ahead and click off, and then marquee select both that in there and just deselect this part. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and rotate down a little bit and over a little bit. Do the same thing with this side. Hold the control key, deselect that. Down a little bit and over a little bit. There we go. And just kind of, that looks good. I like that. Awesome. So there are our eyes. They're all ready for texturing. So that looks awesome. Looks really good. So now you're going to be working on clothing. So I'll see you in the next video.